Good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone who is here, everybody, welcome. And may I just have your attention, please, and would I trouble you, if you are able to please stand for the arrival of Her Excellency the Honourable Barbara Baker, Governor of Tasmania, and Emeritus Professor Don Chalmers. If I could trouble you to stand, please do. Thank you, everyone. You can tell that she's a former tennis and hockey champion because she just strode purposefully down the grass without missing a beat. Thank you, everybody. Please take your seats, make yourselves comfortable. We all need some exercise, though, as well. Before we begin the formal proceedings, could I just encourage you all with me to please give a round of applause once again to the Clarence City Band and their musical director, Michael Young. They entertained us so beautifully. Well, I don't know if you noticed the sunset last night. It was one of those spectacular Tasmanian sunsets with a blaze of pink and blush and purple. And it really is true, isn't it, that a red sky at night, well, it's a shepherd's delight, it's a sailor's delight. It's certainly a Richmond Bicentenary Organising Committee member's delight, because look at this magnificent day that we have for this wonderful occasion. I hope you get to enjoy the day to the full. Good morning and hello, my name is Jane Longhurst. It's my great pleasure to be your MC, just to guide us through the formalities of the official launch of the Richmond Bicentenary. And we welcome all of you from wherever you have come from, however old you are, and whatever your connection to this remarkable southeastern corner of Lutruwita, Tasmania. It's wonderful to have you present this morning. We note and are delighted to also welcome special guests Jen Butler MP, the Labor member for Lyons, Senator Jackie Lambie, a very warm welcome to you, and also to Lord Mayor Anna Reynolds from the City of Hobart. We've also heard rumours of other VIPs. If you're lurking and I've missed you, then please come up and tell me. Happy to acknowledge you retrospectively. I also note too how much effort has gone into today's proceedings. I was just chatting with Pam from the Hobart Vintage Machinery Club. She knew about the Bicentenary 2 years ago, and in the past 2 years has handmade a number of dresses and bonnets, so I feel very underdressed in comparison. Now, speaking of talent, I hope you've had a chance to notice the parade banners. They were made by local school students, so it's great to see the arts thriving here in Richmond. The final part of the parade that many of you will have either witnessed or participated in was people walking across the stone bridge behind me. And as you walk across any bridge, if you have a chance to beat the cars, you hear your footsteps, you hear snatches of conversation, and you may even notice your breathing. And as you approach this most famous of bridges in Australia, you will have noticed a banner. That banner asked us to think about those who have crossed before us. Our walking together over the bridge recognises the Tasmanian Aboriginal people who crossed this river, the Coal River behind me, for millennia, at fords they created and over which the bridge was built. As we reflect upon this crossing, it's my great pleasure to invite proud Pakana woman Teresa Sainty for an acknowledgement of country. Please make her very welcome.
Where's my piper? My little 2-year-old granddaughter has just come. I am indeed a proud Pakana woman, and I'm actually going to speak a statement of country or for country, and particularly in recognition of the Murrurumbina people whose unceded lands you are all sitting on. I'm very technologically savvy today because I've printed out my speech in about 8 points and I can't read it, so let's see how I go on this phone. So I'll apologise now. For me, as a staunch Aboriginal woman, this is a compromising space to be in. I liken it to celebrating Invasion Day, which I don't and never will until the date is changed and what is celebrated is changed. So I'm not here to celebrate or to commemorate the laying of the foundation stone of the bridge. But being involved in this project gave me the opportunity to bring to this colonial village and valley the presence of the people who have been for so long missing, forgotten, nowhere until this last week. Have I seen any evidence that there were people here on their country before invasion and colonisation? It's like they never existed. And so I decided that I could at least change that a little by being involved in this project. Palawa people of Lutruwita, Tasmania have been here since the time of creation, since two star brothers, Moyini and Rumitina, created Palawa, the first ancestor to walk on this earth. What you now call Richmond and the Coal River Valley is part of the unceded country of the Moomarimina. This is still unceded country. Taimi Ningana Raichi War. That means country never given to white men. An abundance of fresh water and marine resources, land animals, birds and their eggs, and plants provided sustenance and enabled the people to continue with culture, expertly and sustainably managing their country so that there would be plenty from season to season. Since the time of Palawa, Moomarimina families lived within their country, including this place now called Richmond, and probably sat where you're sitting now. Long-held cultural knowledge and an innate connection with the environment informed every aspect of their daily lives. Reciprocity was key to the survival of all species. Agreements between the Big River people and the Moomarimina and other Oyster Bay clans were long-standing, having been negotiated, including regarding permissions for accessing each other's territory. Big River people and Oyster Bay people would come together at significant times and places to hunt and celebrate together, no doubt along the banks of what is now called the Coal River. Here, where this bridge was built, Moomarimina and their families and their allies, the Big River people, witnessed the further incursion of the newcomers into their traditional homelands, not understanding their being locked out of those sacred places they needed to access for ceremony or to collect cultural resources and hunt, the gifting of their lands to colonists. Because of the gifting of their lands to colonists, their lands, gifted by people who had no legal right to do so. Imagine how they felt as the people kept coming, and with them more and more country carved up. Descendants of many of the original settlers in this area continue to benefit from stolen lands. Any physical evidence of Big River people having been in this part of their country, Big River and Moomarimina people, having been in this part of their country, has either been severely impacted or destroyed forever due to the building of bridges and dwellings. This is part of the tragedy of the Moomarimina who, with the Big River people, fought so valiantly for their country, families and existence, but who sadly are no longer here. Takilamana Mapali, Palawanara, Putianairi, Putianairi, Warranta Tangara. That means our hearts are very sad for them, and we weep bitterly. And so the huge responsibility of the surviving Palawa community is to make sure that Palawangini, Tunapri, Taimi, so that means it's our responsibility, those of us that have survived the Palawa community, to see to it that the Moomarimina people and all those old people who are no longer here are never forgotten. We pay our respects to all Palawangini old people and to Palawa elders, past and present. I respectfully ask you to consider the story told by the interpretation that you may have already seen or that hopefully you will go and have a look at. It is only a small part of the Mulmarimana story that has been installed in the village, and contemplate the past that began with the creation of Palawa, Nungampi Pama Takara Kuntana Nika, and didn't just begin 200 years ago. Nairi Nina Tu, thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Thank you. And as a proud Tasmanian person, I look forward to learning more about the voices. This occasion affords us an opportunity to deepen our knowledge and our respect in that reflection. Time for more music, everyone, and we're going to hear from the Bicentenary Children's Choir, directed by Sally Vance, who will sing 2 songs for us this morning. We Are the Future of Tomorrow and Waltzing Matilda. Please make them very welcome. fantastic was that? Honestly, it is so hard to sing in parts and harmonies. Massive job on the trumpet. And someone was lead electric cymbals. Who was that? Brilliant job. There's a career there. One more round of applause for our Bicentenary Children's Choir, Sally Vance, and to our pianist, Caroline Miller. Thank you very much. And Thomas on trumpet. Great work. Bravo. Wonderful singing, I must say. And if you're not moved by the sound of children singing at this time of the year, I don't know what would move you. Well, naturally enough, as we reflect back over the past today, this beautiful choir behind me sang of the future with their first song, and how appropriate was that. And of course, Banjo Paterson's Waltzing Matilda arguably has become our national folk song, sung often and with gusto. But it also tells a dark story though, as squatters ruled outback Australia, as we know. Brutality was also a feature of early Richmond, both for convicts and especially for the Moomarimina people, as the British stole their country despite heroic resistance. It's unlikely, as we heard Teresa Sainty reflect upon earlier in our ceremony, that any Moomarimina people remained on their country within 15 years of Richmond's establishment 200 years ago. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Governor of Tasmania, Her Excellency the Honourable Barbara Baker AC, who will launch officially the Richmond Bicentenary. Please make her very welcome.
Thank you very much, Jane. A hard act to follow, these lovely voices. But good morning to everyone. What a beautiful day. I thank you, Mayor Blomley and colleagues, for inviting me to officially launch this Richmond Bicentenary with the laying of the foundation stone of Richmond Bridge to commemorate this 200th anniversary. May I begin by acknowledging the Moomarimina people upon whose country we gather, who flourished on country as part of the Oyster Bay people. We honour them and today's Tasmanian Aboriginal community as ongoing custodians of country. I recognise their enduring culture and continued connection to land, sea and waters. 100 years ago, a major celebration took place at this site to mark the centenary of the bridge in December 1923. There was then what was called an old-time pageant. It must have looked something like today's wonderful community parade along Bridge Street, across this historic bridge and to these lawns. 100 years ago, right here, the reenactment procession was led across this bridge by a man colourfully described as wearing, and I quote, a period hat, above side whiskers of the same, breeches, top boots, and all on a staunch horse. Following him were Richmond townsfolk described as wearing, I quote, long flowered silk coats and satin breeches and surmounted by three-cornered hats, strutting across this sombre bridge as when it had been a young biscuit-coloured structure. This 1923 Mercury article, which I've quoted, went on to say that some of the costumes of the ladies in particular had probably been handed down through the generations and were the original clothing of costly silk and beautiful design, as worn by townsfolk who lived here in the 1820s. The centenary procession included vehicles, ancient and modern, and today also there is the vehicle display this afternoon at the Recreation Reserve and Village Green. From today and right through to March next year, there'll be much to enjoy and also to mark this Richmond Bicentenary. Richmond, we are all proud to know, is one of the most significant cultural towns in Australia. Yet, as we have heard from Teresa Sainty, and we can see in the Courthouse exhibition, A People Forgotten, within 15 years of Richmond's establishment, no Moomarimina people remained here on their lands. There was convict hardship and suffering here too, and in addition, there were long periods when the people of Richmond consider that their economic prosperity lagged unfairly behind Hobart and its surrounds. But clearly the people living and working here and being inspired by the beauty of the Coal River Valley have over time and with flair created the Richmond we now celebrate. The town is visually beautiful, a major tourist destination and an enviable place to live. In the months ahead there is a busy program including the History Festival, the Convict Muster, the Heritage Farming Expo and the grand finale in March, the Village Fair and Street Party. May I conclude by thanking Brendan and his colleagues again for this opportunity to be with you for the start of your festivities and reflections. I now have the greatest pleasure to declare the Richmond Bicentenary officially launched. Thank you.
Thank you kindly, Governor. Let us now hear from the Mayor of Clarence City Council, Councillor Brendan Blomley.
Well, good morning and welcome everyone to the wonderful village of Richmond. Before I start today, I would like to thank Teresa Santi for sharing in this moment and highlighting a story that must be acknowledged in our reflections today. I would also like to thank Her Excellency the Honourable Barbara Baker, AC, Emeritus Professor Don Chalmers, AO, as well as the Speaker of the House of Assembly, the Honourable Mark Shelton, MP, for being here today as well as all the state and federal members of Parliament, senators, members of the Legislative Council, the local government elected members, in particular my Clarence City Council colleagues, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Alison Ritchie, Councillor Emma Goyne, Councillor Heather Chong, Councillor Bree Hunter and Councillor Wendy Kennedy. I also note the attendance of the Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Rebecca White, who is here on the front lawn today as well. For the City of Clarence, Richmond is a place known for its profoundly rich history and culture. In our city, it stands on its own for its breathtaking beauty, magnificent landscapes and striking landmarks. Put simply, there really is no other place quite like it. For millennia, this land was farmed, fished and cultivated by the Murrurumbina people and known as the important crossing and meeting point for the Oyster Bay and Big River people. Through my involvement in the Richmond Bicentenary, I've been humbled and saddened to learn of the Murrurumbina people's history and the role the bridge played in their plight and demise. Richmond is an adored jewel in our region. As I often say, it is the jewel in Clarence's crown. Since the town's proclamation, its agricultural and transit status established Richmond as an integral part of our region. Richmond is still recognised for its diverse agricultural offerings, as well as being a major tourism attraction for our state. The riverbanks of Richmond and its township are one of the top destinations for local, national and international tourists. Whether it be the iconic bridge, the heritage streetscape, traditional country fair or the extraordinary natural surrounds, Richmond is a significantly important part of our city. Of course, it's also the choice of residence of many, and a large proportion are here with us today. As this wonderful close-knit community continues to grow and expand, I'm regularly reminded of its warm and welcoming character. This is one of the reasons Clarence City Council have invested in developing the Richmond Village Master Plan, a long-term vision that celebrates the significance, the heritage and history of this area. This plan will preserve what we love about the village and simultaneously set Richmond up for the next 200 years. I am truly honoured that Council has been able to support and participate in such an incredibly unique event in our region. I would like to give special thanks to the Richmond Bicentenary Planning Committee, particularly the Creative Director, Professor Noel Frankham, and the Chair, my friend and Council colleague, Councillor Heather Chong. Together with many other talented volunteers, Noel and Heather have worked tirelessly to bring together such an extensive program that draws focus on our local heritage. Over 5 weekends, locals and visitors will gain a rare insight into the complex and remarkable history of this very special village. Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, thank you one and all for embracing such a wonderful event and coming along on this glorious day to commemorate with us. It is my sincere hope that you'll be able to all to explore the wide variety of events occurring from now up until March of next year and take a moment to reflect on the history and the accomplishments of this remarkable village, Richmond. Thank you all.
Thank you very much indeed, Mayor. The Honourable Mark Shelton, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Liberal Member for Lyons, is with us this morning representing the Tasmanian Premier and Minister for State Growth, the Honourable Jeremy Rockliff. Would you please welcome the Honourable Mark Shelton to the stage just to say a few words. Thank you.
And thank you very much, and it is a very lovely morning, and so welcome everyone. I'm delighted to be here today to support the official launch of the Richmond Bicentennial Program, and specifically to the commemoration of the laying of the Richmond Bridge foundation stone on the 11th of December 1823. In recognition of the deep history and culture of this island, I would like to also acknowledge and pay my respects to all Tasmanian Aboriginal people, the traditional custodians of the land upon which we gather today. I would also like to acknowledge Her Excellency the Honourable Barbara Baker AC, Governor of Tasmania, Clarence, City of Clarence Mayor, Councillor Brendan Bromley, Ms Teresa Sainty, Senior Indigenous Scholar at the University of Tasmania, and the Tasmanian Senators, State and Federal Members of Parliament, Federal Members of the Legislative Council, local government mayors and deputy mayors that are all here today. The Richmond Bridge is the oldest surviving large stone arch bridge in Australia and was the first multiple arch bridge to be constructed in this state. For the first 11 years, the bridge held the title as the longest span bridge in the country. Using sandstone quarried from Butchers Hill and transported to the site by handcart, the bridge retains a high level of integrity despite its constant use and demonstrates a high degree of technical achievement in the early Tasmanian bridge design and construction. It remains largely unchanged since it was constructed and still is used, of course, as we can see today. The bridge not only secured all-season passage to the east coast for heavy traffic, but it also heightens Richmond's commercial and institutional prominence. By 1835, Richmond was the third largest town in the colony. The bridge is truly an icon example of Tasmanian extraordinary built heritage. Apart from the picturesque setting which we're in today, it is one of the only 2 bridges on the National Heritage Register, taking its place proudly alongside the Sydney Harbour Bridge. From the state's perspective, the bridge is one of only a few amongst the 5,000 entries listed on the Tasmanian Heritage Register that meets all 8 criteria for registration under the Historic and Cultural Heritage Act 1995. Richmond Bridge is a historic and cultural heritage significance and has demonstrated early 19th century growth and development of transport infrastructure in the colony. It provides permanent access to the east coast and later the Tasman Peninsula, and reflects the resources available to the colonial administration for infrastructure projects of the day. It was constructed prior to the establishment of Richmond Township and demonstrates some of the earliest settlement patterns of colonial Tasmania. The bridge is representative of the large large-scale public infrastructure development in Tasmania during the early colonial period and has the potential to provide insight into the early bridge design and construction methods of Tasmania, as well as the response to changing conditions over time. The setting of the bridge also has potential to yield information relating to the early use of the Coal River Valley and the riverbanks, including fords, mills and associated infrastructure. Historically, the bridge is associated with a wide range of individuals and groups whose lives and work were important in Tasmania's history, including Commissioner Brigg, the Lieutenant Governor of Sorell, Major Thomas Bell and John Lee Archer, and of course its association with the Tasmania's penal system and the convict labour of the time. Picturesque images of the bridge and the riverbank settings have been used widely in state and national tourism promotions since 1920, establishing it as an integral destination for cultural tourism, an icon of Tasmania branding, a place that continues to inspire generations of artists. But ultimately, it's the value lies in what the structure means to Tasmanian community. I expect all of us have fond memories of time spent with families and friends along the vicinity of the bridge and have experienced a strong sense of connection to place when we see the images of the Richmond Bridge. That's a contribution that built heritage makes to our own health and well-being, and the fundamental reason why we should cherish and protect these places. It is this community value that underpins the government's continual investment in our heritage assets through the annual expenditure of conservation and maintenance of our many heritage places owned and operated by the Tasmanian government, and through the government's $4.5 million commitment to the built heritage sector over the next 3 years. I would like to congratulate the Richmond Bicentennial Organisation Committee, and we all look forward to experiencing the wonderful program of activities planned over the next few months to commemorate Richmond and the bridge and all that it has to offer to our communities. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sure you appreciate the effort that's gone in today to organise this. Thank you.
Hear, hear indeed. Thank you so much to the Honourable Mark Shelton for representing the Premier of Tasmania this very morning. Well, we are nearly at the end of our formalities as I see children starting to roll down the green grass. If only I could, I would join you. We are nearly at the end of our formalities. Before we wrap up, though, today, our thanks once again to the Governor of Tasmania, Her Excellency the Honourable Barbara Baker AC, for joining us, to all of our speakers and to all of you here today for making the time to come and enjoy live music from future generations of Richmond musicians and indeed the Clarence Band. I'm sure you can appreciate, as Mark Shelton just alluded to, that this event took significant planning and is the result of an extraordinary community volunteer team in support of the bicentenary. So we recognise the generous support of businesses, community organisations and groups, Richmond's 2 schools, St John's and Richmond Primary Schools, and the Clarence Council staff teams. So we encourage you all to head back to the village to enjoy exhibitions in the courthouse and supper room, vehicle displays on the village green and up on the recreation reserve. Make sure you pick up a program. They're available throughout the village. Thank you again for making the time to attend this very special launch event of the Richmond Bicentenary. We hope you'll find much to savour, to enjoy and to contemplate for the next 200 years. Hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.